In 1999, we engaged KMD to design an administration building that would house various city departments, such as the law library, the city attorney's office, and things like that.
In this specific case, the 525 Golden Gate was an incredible project to work with and work with a client and have the opportunity to design it. The reason being is it took about 10 years to do.
In 2006, PUC realized as a utility that'll be around for many, many, many hundreds of years, that it was prudent to build their own building.
And the concepts that came out 19 years ago pretty much endured through many iterations of codes and client needs and client goals and sustainability and all kind of scrutiny, but yet it survived, it metamorphosized itself, and it became what it is today.
As a utility, what they realized was, as a provider of power, hydroelectric, clean energy power, clean, pristine water from Hetch Hetchy, and treating wastewater, was, as a utility, they wanted to set an example for both the public and the private sector and build their own building.
Well, what's important, not just for this building, but for KMD in general, is taking a project from a vision and an idea and drawings to actual building is not an easy thing to do.
Well, the building for the PUC, I think, is a physical manifestation of their mission. And the building tries to be, in certain ways, a representation of the systems that they manage. So water, power, energy. So all those are expressed in a direct way in the architecture of the building.
I remember our first meeting with KMD and our client, the PUC, was go beyond LEED, go to the moon, go to the constellations of green.
We were tasked with making this the greenest office building in the United States, and so all of our efforts geared towards finding truly innovative technologies. This just seemed such a perfect fit that we couldn't let the opportunity go by.
This project has done a really great job of taking advantage of sun as one of our really great natural resources. We've done a really great job of bringing natural daylighting into the project and also regulating it through the sunshades on the south side of the facade.
We came up with a system which consists of exterior sunshades, and each floor has multiple sunshades. So you get views through the sunshades that aren't too deep.
It's also a really great benefit for people who are working to have that natural connection to the outdoors and to have that natural daylight. And there are studies that suggest that daylight really improves productivity of people.
There's plenty of studies done to see the appropriateness of having a wind turbine on this building, on this site. We do have very consistent north-northwest wind.
We actually took advantage of understanding the wind directions, and rather than running vertically and stepping back and then going vertically again, we basically connected the 2 points at an angle, but sculpted the facade in a way that caught the wind, which typically comes from the northwest.
What the glass wing does is it is like this, and then the facade is curving back like that. That curved shape basically collects the wind and funnels it into the gap between the glass wing and the building facade.
So we gathered the wind like the sail of a sailboat, and we directed it right towards a wind tower, which is a freestanding tower at the northeast corner of the building, where we have vertical wind turbines between the facade proper and the wind tower.
On most days, even when there's little wind, the wind turbines are turning and creating energy.
Well, the Living Machine is an interesting story. We had actually already begun construction documents. When I discovered this technology, I saw a presentation by the Worrell Water Industries, and I approached a representative of that company. I immediately recognized that the technology seems a perfect fit.
Living Machine is rad. It's really exciting in a lot of different ways. It's exciting that the client was so excited about it, and the client is a water utility, and really awesome that the client wants to encourage different solutions for water treatment and wants to test this out here.
We had already wanted the design to have this sense of indoor-outdoor connection. Being a public building, we wanted the public to feel welcome, and to strengthen that connection, we had already talked about having planters that bridged both literally indoor and outdoor, where the glass wall would divide the planters. So that was already in our minds as something we wanted to do from a design perspective. Well, the Living Machine people, part of their system uses treatment cells that are actually planters.
We're able to provide the Living Machine not only to collect the water and recycle the water, but it also becomes a teaching tool, because the water areas are exposed in the lobby, and that created a lot of consternation at the beginning, because you've got these exposed beds of plants and they're being fed by the water that's been cleaned up from wastewater.
It's the first urban wetland water treatment to be installed, and so I think that is a really great opportunity. Interesting to see that you can solve a building's water on this specific scale.
I am incredibly concerned about context too, and how the building is part of a symphony. And if you think about a city in urban form, and how the building works together with the city. And San Francisco is probably one of the best symphonies in the world from an urban design standpoint.
I think there's really a beautiful honesty in how we're celebrating the materials and the systems in this project. I think we've talked about how the structure is really resilient and really important to this project. And I think it's so exciting that we're exposing it. There's beautiful concrete walls throughout this project. The core of this project is really exposed and is architecturally expressed.
When people come into the spaces of this building, the interior spaces or the private space of this building, one thing that really comes through is how transparent it is and how honest it feels.
You really do have to have a group of people that can sit down and have the conversations for possibility as well as the conversations for action, and do it more or less at the same time, which is difficult because it's two different conversations, and get it done in a way that satisfies both sides of the equation.
And so there's this big problem solving, and it's not the beautiful stuff that you see throughout the project, but it's sort of this exciting problem-solving thing where you have to coordinate the different disciplines and really try to understand what everyone's priorities are.
And the real goal and the real vision is to make sure that the ideas, the kernel of what's important about the building is maintained all the way through construction.
At the end, we sort of solved the problem and appeased everybody with their various interests, and it was sort of this. You could kind of just feel even through email that there was this really exciting, huzzah, we made it.
I think what's important for people to recognize on this project is the investment in time and passion that it takes to actually make a project like this successful.
I want the building to have said that San Francisco was interested in its future, and it was concerned about its citizens, its children, and the legacy that was being left through its buildings. I also wanted to say that, this is a place that thought outside the box and really tried to push the envelope and understood that buildings were important investments in society and were reflections of that society.
The extra effort for a project like this that you really have to stretch, not to just find what satisfies a requirement, but understanding what the essence of the project is, the sustainable goals, and the presence in the Civic Center, and finding true innovation to accomplish that.
What we do have is a building that was designed in 1999. It's a timeless building, and 50 years from now, 100 years from now, we hope it will continue to stay timeless and serve as a headquarters for the PUC.
So the challenge for an architect is when you're actually dreaming and you're working with a client and working with a team to create a space or an environment or an exterior, whatever that may be, you always vision that how it's going to be when it's done. It may be 3, 4 years from now, 5 years from now. And then when one day it happens, say that you last through all that and the building gets built and you walk into it, you goes, I got it. This is it. I loved it.